Hey guys, welcome to Your Best Interviews. My name is Eric Smith. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I know there's a lot of places you can go, so I appreciate you spending it here. Today, what I want to talk about is how to eliminate nerves before an interview. So, this is a question that I get asked all the time, and when I'm coaching, what I commonly hear from people is I get so nervous, I psych myself out for these interviews. I don't know how to get rid of it. So, it's really simple. And I know that sounds ridiculous because the truth is everyone's going to be nervous during the interview. I don't care if you've interviewed hundreds of times. I don't care if you're really comfortable in front of other people. If, interviews don't necessarily psych you out, you're going to be nervous before an interview. And if you have anxiety around that stuff, it's only going to get worse because you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And so interview nerves is a very normal thing. But the way to get rid of interview nerves is to make sure that you're preparing and that you're preparing correctly. So I know this is a more generic answer. Don't click off. What I want to emphasize here is the more preparation you put into the interview process, the more comfortable you're going to be going into that day. And the other side of it is it becomes less if you're doing all the steps correctly. The interview, the importance of nailing that interview or coming out with the job offer of that particular interview goes down. And what I mean by that is if you're approaching the job search process correctly, you're applying broadly, you're putting yourself out there, you're getting in front of a lot of different opportunities, you're finding a lot of companies that are looking for your type of skill set, the weight of going into an interview falls a little bit, right? You don't have to hinge everything on this one interview because you know you've got other opportunities lined up. And you've also broadened kind of your exposure to different opportunities that are out there today for you. And so I get that interviewing is super nerve-wracking, but when you have more options, you have less nerves, right? So that's step one, is making sure that you're approaching the job search process correctly, right? So that's part of the preparation process, is making sure that you're applying broadly, you're getting yourself out there, you're identifying and finding new opportunities, and putting your hat in the ring by applying, right? So after that, once you get the interview, to ensure that you're preparing correctly and that you're eliminating your nerves, you want to make sure that you are over preparing for the interviews. And what I mean by that is you should have a list of all the interview questions, behavioral based interview questions, regular interview questions. Have a list of all of that and make sure that you're practicing it over and over. And you're doing it in a way where you're getting yourself very, very familiar and comfortable, and where it's almost second nature and almost like a muscle that you're flexing. When a question is asked, you know exactly how to answer it. And you're putting yourself in different scenarios where it's maybe a little bit uncomfortable to answer some of those. And you practice that over and over. So you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable position. You're reciting your answers to these common interview questions over and over and over. And you're doing it so much that you're almost looking forward to the interview. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but realistically, if you're practicing so much, if you've done it over and over and over, it starts to become annoying, really. You start to get really annoyed with the practice process because you've just done it so much. You've recited it so much. You know how to answer every question because you've done it multiple times. That as you approach the interview, you almost get excited because you're ready to actually put that into practical use. That's when you know that you've prepared enough. And so when I say practice, I don't mean one or two times. I mean, you need to do it over and over until you know the answers inside and out. You know exactly the points that you want to hit. And I'm not saying you need to recite it word for word, but you need to know the key important points that you want to hit for every question that could come your way. That's when you know that you've over prepared and that you've put yourself in a position to answer every question in the best way possible and put your best foot forward to getting the job that you want. That's when the nerves start to really go away. It's when the preparation is behind everything that you've done, right? So you have to make sure that you're preparing correctly. You know exactly how to answer certain questions that are going to be thrown your way. And the other big one is you have prepared for some of the questions that you know you're going to get asked, right? So tell me about yourself. That's one question that I guarantee you will be asked in an interview. So I have other videos on that. Check that out. But tell me about yourself. If you have not practiced this, scripted this, and know how to answer this, you're going to set your interview off on the wrong tone, right? So make sure that you're doing all those things. When I say prepare it the correct way, that's part of it, right? Is making sure that you're preparing for every single step in the process and every question that's going to come your way so that you can hit those out of the park, put your best foot forward, and give yourself the greatest odds moving forward. That truly is the only way to get rid of your nerves before an interview. But I promise you, if you prepare correctly, if you over prepare, you spend all of your time focusing on getting yourself ready, you're going to go into that interview a lot more confident, and that confidence is what eliminates nerves. So good luck. If you want more insight into how to prepare correctly, more resources around this, I do have a course. Go to yourbestinterviews.com, or there's a link below for my comprehensive interview course. The whole goal here, guys, is to help you get the job that you want and give you a leg up in this process. Good luck.